determined person who makes your mind up from the beginning that whatever your goal is, you are never going to give up until you reach that goal. God will never give up on you if you will never give up on Him.
When God moves, He opens and closes doors. When He moves with His key, that is with His divine authority, nobody can shut it. When you're using God's keys, people do not have the last say-so.
What happened to me was a reason why I was the way I was, but I could not let it become an excuse to stay that way. Is never say no way. That's one of the things that the enemy puts in our head all the time. Well, there's just no way. If you're going through something really challenging right now, remember this too will pass. Everything in life is always changing. The only thing that never changes is God.
If you skip God's way to get it done, whatever it is you're trying to get done, then don't just call on God to use His master key when you've ignored the key He gave you. He does not want you to skip the responsibility He's given you and simply call on Him because He got the master key. He wants to know your keys are consistent with His key.
Everything takes longer than you think it's going to. So one of the things that I encourage anybody to do, it's on any kind of a journey, you're trying to reach any kind of a goal, is don't just look at how far you have to go. Celebrate every little tiny success that you have.
But He says, I have set before you an open door. Even though folks say you are a nothing and a nobody, I have set before you an open door, and when I open this up for you, the folk with the name, with the money, and with the power will not be able to shut it. And when I open the door, I don't care who they are, where they come from, how much they have, what degrees they possess. When I have the key, if I decide to open that door, nobody gonna shut a door I open. And if I decide to lock them up, they're not gonna be able to get back in because I'm in charge here.
Most people focus on what they're not instead of what they are. And most people focus on what they don't have instead of what they do have. So if we look at the things that have happened, it gives us hope for the things that can happen in the future. It was from the very beginning when you start something, and this is not intended to be negative at all, you need to think, okay, this is going to take longer than I think it will. It's going to be harder than I think it will. And what I have to pay or give up to get to that goal may be more than I think it's going to be. You see, when we have this perfectionistic thinking, it's unrealistic. I mean, how many of you ever really have even one whole day in your life that goes exactly the way that you wanted it to go when you got out of bed? We need to be realistic about life and realize that the devil's alive. And anytime you try to make any kind of progress, don't ever forget this, anytime you try to make any kind of progress, the enemy is going to come against you and try to stop you. Not giving up on yourself. And boy, that's usually a big one. You know, how you feel about yourself, the kind of relationship you have with yourself, affects every other relationship in your life. So you have to learn how to think about yourself the way that God thinks about you and see yourself the way that God sees you. And I know that's hard because we have bad mental habits and things that we need to break. You can never love anybody else until you love yourself. Refuse to live in fear. The only way that you can ever overcome fear is to confront it. And we have to learn how to stand up against them, because courage is forward motion in the presence of fear. It's not the absence of fear, but it's doing it afraid. God said, fear not, for I am with you. We need to have more of a conquering spirit, more of a, I can do it. There's nothing I can't do if God is on my side. We all want to have a testimony. You know, the word testimony begins with test. So guess what? You never get a testimony without a test somewhere along the line. Consider it wholly joyful, my brethren, whenever you're enveloped in or encounter trials of any sort, or fall into various temptations. Be assured and understand that the trial and the proving of your faith bring out endurance and steadfastness and patience. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but believe me, eventually it will work out for your good.
See, when God is silent, that doesn't mean he's still. I know you don't see him doing anything. I know it looks like you just waiting for nothing. But God likes to come in suddenly. He likes to break in when you didn't expect it, when you didn't think there was any way that this thing could ever get better, that this trial could ever end. He loves to do something suddenly. And the reason why he likes to do things quickly or suddenly is so that when it happens, there is no debate on who caused it to take place. Because it came out of nowhere. So don't worry about it. If you don't have all the degrees, and if you don't have all the money, and you don't have all the prestige, and you don't have all the power, and people don't applaud you when you walk into the room, don't worry about it. Just obey him, don't deny his name, and then wait for the Lord, I say. Wait upon the Lord, because he comes suddenly.
Be determined. God gives us free will, and we have the ability to do what God wants us to do. He never leaves us to do it on our own. He's always there to help us keep on keeping on. When you feel like you can't take one more step, just go ahead and take one more step, and then one more step after that. And I can promise you that no matter what kind of a problem you have, if you will make that decision, I am never going to give up. See, there's certain things that nobody can do for us but us. I mean, there's things that we ask God to do for us that he's not going to do for us. He will give us the ability to do it, and he'll be there with us when we do it. But if God did everything for us, we would never mature and grow up. Now remember, we never fail unless we give up. So do not give up.